So every once in a while, you got to do a job as an RV tech that you don't ever like to do. But today I'm going to be doing a black tank. So there's the new one right there. Let's go see why I'm doing this. I need this to say black tanks aren't my favorite replacements, repairs, anything sewage related, because especially on a fifth wheel or any RV, that sewage is right above you and it falls down right into your arms, sometimes your mouth. It's gross. So we're gonna go underneath here and take a look. Here's the black tank right there. And if we look right about here, we got some sewage leaking out because there's a big crack right in the form itself. It's actually stressed to this point. You can see the crack there, and it goes all the way to the end there. Maybe you could fix this. This is an ABS tank, and so it is repairable, but nothing I could really guarantee wouldn't rip again if you're traveling with any weight, driving down the road with this thing. So I get to replace this. I have to disconnect all the plumbing. So there's the outlet right there. And we'll go up above. There's the vent stack that goes up to the roof. And this is what comes down from the toilet. Looks like I'm gonna have to replumb that anyways. I can't say if it's leaking sewage or just something above is leaking down on the pipes, and then that seems more likely. But all this has to be disconnected. Toilet has to come out. Wire's got to be disconnected. Here's the new tank right here. We were actually able to match it up pretty well. ABS tanks aren't the highest quality tanks out there. It's just a sheet of ABS glued to the actual basin. Almost looks like one of those concrete mixers you get from Home Depot. There's the information if anybody cares. And then of course I have to put the well nuts for the tank probe sensors right in there. If you'll notice, the top of it does not have any holes in it, so I'll have to transfer the holes for the toilet and the vent stack in there, cut those out, and get the flanges set up. So my customer actually lives in this, so I don't have a lot of time to make a lot of videos. I'll do as quick as I can. This won't be a step-by-step. I'll try to highlight whatever interesting things you might find, and hopefully get this done today, right? And it doesn't leak. Get it secured. So wish me luck. So this is the 99 King of the Road fifth wheel trailer that I did a skylight on a few months ago. We're going inside here. So here's the toilet. We got a ceiling traveler on it. We'll probably change out this toilet since it's the original toilet anyways. This toilet comes off fairly easily. It's pretty straightforward. There's this decor panel underneath. Oh look, that's broken anyways. And then there's just going to be the 4 flange bolts right down there. There's a water line on the back side of here. Again, there's 2 screws on this pedal. Takes that cover off. And then we'll just lift and get this toilet out of the way. And go from there. Alright, all those bolts are out. Everything's disconnected. Just pulls out that easily. And there come the fruit flies. Gross. So get this out of the way outside and start tearing some screws apart out here. Get back in there, flies. Gross. Okay, so apparently I've done everything wrong. And I'm having to do everything difficult now. So this flange is actually broken from, it's hard to see, that crack right there. So this toilet has probably been rocking, which is probably why it was leaking. So I had to fix this anyways. Each one of these screws that's holding this down to the floor is rusted out solid, and I cannot back them out. So I'm gonna have to cut it out. I've already started with this one. I'm notching it with the grinder. and using my stubby screwdriver to try to get it out. If not, I'll have to cut it all out and gross. Alright. There's my friend that came out from underneath there. I got all the screws either removed or cut off. It's fairly loose. And this was broken too, I swear. Just have to get this out of the grout and cut the pipe down below. So I'm going to cut the pipe and then get this back going. Probably have to get rid of a lot of this grout when I put the new flange in, because nothing will fit perfectly, will it? Great. Here, I'm just going to go with the assumption that I'm going to seam this existing pipe and not replace it. Easiest place to seam it is going to be, it'll be right here. I can just cut this right here. It looks like these are actually glued on ABS fittings to the tank instead of grommets. And I'm going to cut this right here, and that way if I need to glue it back together with a 3-inch coupler I can, or I can get all the fittings and replumb it back to wherever it needs to be. So cut both those off and see if I can unspin this thing. Well, I got that cut, and the bad news is this is glued into the tank with just a slip ring bushing. So it's actually ABS glued into the tank, so I can't unspin this. That means I'm gonna have to cut this off, or else I won't be able to drop the tank. And this thing stinks so bad. That means this is probably gonna be glued in too. Great, wonderful, fantastic. Doesn't make much sense. I'll just cut that flush with a Sawzall and drop the tank. Okay, so I cut that off. Now this whole thing should be loose. Look at that. You guys want the money shot? Probably not. Ugh. Okay, so obviously there's still some sewage in there. We have to disconnect the gate valve right here. Disconnect the probes, and then there's this lower support that's just bolted on right there. Get that out of the way. And then there's 2 flange supports. And then just to make things a little bit more difficult, there's actually a framing support, wood frame under here for the underbelly material, which was almost like a rubber weed cloth. Let's cut those out of the way just so I can drop the tank. But of course, obviously there's going to be sewage in there, so on the scale of things that are gross, this is up there. Now I'm going to save you from the literal storm disconnecting this, because a lot of sewage is probably going to come out right here, and I'll have to get out of the way quickly. So, well, that was a horrible experience. And take a look, but it's going to be gross, guys. Just to let you know. Alright, so here it is. There's a lot more sewage in there than I had hoped that there would have been. And here's the tank. So that was the gross part. I guess if there's any good news, putting it back together, everything's going to be nice and clean. Alright, I cleaned up the mess. Let it dry out a little bit. I do have the new tank up, but it's not mounted. I just have it in position so I can make the marks everywhere I need it to be. Like this, I have to make sure that this flange lines up correctly with this flange. So I'll just make my marks here and line everything up so I can glue that in position. And with that also in position, then I can make my marks up here on top of the tank where the grommets are going to go. And everything should line up when I put it back in place again. Just get a marker, put it right down in here. And it's marked. Do that again and pull the tank back out. So I got the tank back out. There's my marks I made. I found the rudimentary middle of that. I'll just be using a hole saw to cut that hole in there. But instead of gluing in flanges, because I don't really trust the glued in ones, because it's a lot of flexing in this tank. I like these rubber grommets that go in there. I'll drill the hole, and then this this channel in the middle right there actually seals against the top flange, or the top of the tank. And the pipe just goes in right there. It makes a quick disconnect in the future, so you can pull this out without having to cut everything like I had to last time. And because it's rubber, there's a lot of flex built into it. So I'll do the same thing there and right there. The only thing you want to make sure is your hole saw isn't too big. So you want to make sure that it's just as big as the flange right there. So it fits in, and then when you put it in there, it's going to be nice and tight and seal all the way around on the inside. Of course, do yourself and everybody else a favor. Retrieve that that disc you're pulling out. You don't want to get that in the tank, because that won't make it through the port, and then it just clogs up the whole system. And then somebody like me has to come back down the road and fish out a stupid big plastic plug out of this tank when it's full of sewage. Make sure that this burr is nice and smooth. You don't want to have anything sticking down. Keep it from sealing very well. Now I like to use this ProFlex GeoCell stuff. Put it on the inside lip right here, so that when I put it in, it seals really well. You can see that. And it'll all ooze out. This stuff stays pretty flexible, and it's just, it's not vital. A lot of manufacturers don't do that. I just figure it might as well. Couldn't hurt anything. So I'll just put it right here. This will be pretty hard to do one-handed without making a mess, but I'm just feeding that in so that it's going inside the tank. All right, so we're in, I guess, like Flynn. And you'll see this has a ledge on it, so when you put the pipe in, you don't want to push the pipe past that ledge. And then added, it doesn't seem like this would work very well, but once you put the pipe in there, it's actually putting outward pressure against this rubber, against the tank, so it seals really well. We got a rare opportunity to try to look up from the inside to see what I'm talking about. So there's the inner lip. You just want to make sure that that's flat against the top of the tank. So this one already has the probes marked out, so just drill those. That's a 3/8 hole. Put well nuts in right there. Should be 4 holes. There's the other one right there, but I don't ever like putting them on the corner right there. I'll just put it over here. I just drilled out the 4 3/8 holes for the well nuts. This is a well nut. This is also your tank probe sensor. This is what it looks like. It just goes right in there. Okay, kind of show you how it works. So as you tighten this screw right here, it's going to pull the rubber back. So it bulges that rubber and seals against the wall of the tank. This little thread that sticks out, that's actually the sensor. That's what gets corroded with toilet paper and everything else, because that actually sticks out in the tank, so stuff can stick to it. That's what you see on the outside. This also had a black tank flush in it. This thing was completely impacted, much like this fitting right there that goes to it. Those are all little flies, the bodies of flies. Usually fruit flies, I think. You can kind of see them in there. I had to clean this all out so it would actually work again, but it's just a sprayer. Just have to cut a hole in the new tank for this to go into. It's got another hole saw right there. Put the hole right there. And this will just take that sealant again with a couple short stainless steel screws. Alright, so I got the sealant underneath there. I did pre-drill the holes. These screws are really only there to hold it as clamps until this sealant is cured, because the sealant's really going to be doing all the work. And there it is. We can put this tank back in now. Got the probes on, got the grommets on. Okay, we might get this done yet today. So I think I got all my drain plumbing plumbed up. Found that if you put a little bit of a cleaner on here, it makes it push into those grommets a lot easier. Alright, so that one's all mocked up. I'll just get a no hub for right here, that way the future person can disconnect this a lot easier. And then this one's all mocked up too. I'll just make all my marks so that I can glue this thing up and have it ready to go. Because I'll leave the floor flange off so I can push that down into the stack here. I got the no hub put on there so it's easy to disconnect. And I figure I might as well fill up the tank from this point and see how we do. Alright, we're coming inside, filling it up. Doing about 2/3. So I'm gonna let it sit for a while like that and make sure it's not leaking, because this tank did come in broken and I had to fix it. And even though this looks awful, this isn't the primary repair. I did the main repair from the inside. When they shipped it, they just wrapped this tank with cardboard, and it's obvious that this got smacked really hard on the ground, and I can't explain how thin the plastic was right there. It's always one thing or another. Alright, turn the water pump on. Got a toilet going on here. It's now mounted securely. I think this works. Alright, look at that. We got water. And it's flushing. Now we'll go outside and see if it leaked everywhere. Well, see, water connection's leaking. See, that's just ABS glue. Somebody didn't do a clean job on that. And we look pretty good, guys. Well, the only other thing I did, which I didn't really say I did, was there's a center support on this this tank right here. I added just a piece of 1x2 on top of it, because when this tank fills up, it does flex. The bottom of it, you know, flexes like a balloon. And if I go over to the gray tank here, I don't know if you can see how much space is there. I'm not sure that it was doing a good job supporting the tank, and of course it ripped right about here. So I'm hoping this little bit of extra 1 inch keeps it from flexing enough to rip it. And I went the full length of it. I didn't try to mold it to fit the ramp, because obviously this side of the tank is lower than that side of the tank, so the water would actually get directed out. But I didn't want to have any hard lines, so I didn't want to end it like there or there as a pressure point for it to flex around. Well, guys, I think I'm going to call it good. All I have to do is put some belly skin material on. I got a roll of it right there. It's just going to be screwed up, and then that's what the insulation inside's for. That's pretty boring standard stuff. I'm pretty pleased. Can't say this went as well as I hoped it would go, but I guess it could have gone a lot worse. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye. So of course, this one's stripped, so it's not coming up. Have to just cut that off. I started this one, and it looks like it's going to actually unscrew, so maybe it won't. Looks like everything's just going to be miserable. So that's going to be miserable. Let's just see if I can just pull it out. Hey, look, most of it's gone. Probably just pry this whole thing out. Great. Definitely have to cut this out. Alright, so get this out. There's something done. Alright, here it is, all done. You can see I just put some underbelly material over there, that corrugated plastic, and put some supports across for it. I guess whoever gets to work on this next will be happy, because they can get really good access to that tank, or the wiring if they need to.